Church is divided, hearts divided. It feels heavy and people are tired. Yet Jesus prayed that his people would be one, not the same, one, that they may be brought to complete unity so the world may know you sent me. Unity does not mean we agree on everything. Unity means we lay down the right to be first, we choose humility, and we fix our eyes on the...
Greetings, KELP listeners. My name is Terry Gray, and I have the joy and privilege of serving as the pastor of Calvary Chapel Sun City, located on the west side of El Paso. I also have the joy of connecting with the radio audience in the borderland through the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. On Summons, we study the Bible book by book, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, precept by precept. Please join us each weekday at 5 p.m. for Summons right here on KELP.
You are listening to KELP El Paso. Feed your mind, feed your soul at 1590 AM, 95.9 FM. Streaming worldwide at KELPradio.com.
915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk. I am your host, Andy Frecka. Today we are broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We're at the KELP studio in El Paso, and we have Mac Daddy Del Norte on the board. Mac Daddy, how are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, man, I was going to say, hey, Mac Daddy, sorry. Hey, Andy, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
If you're going to call me Mac Daddy, you're not doing good. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little exhausted. It's been a busy week for me.
It's been a busy week.
Yes.
It's not all fun and games bringing truth to the radio waves of the borderland,
Amen.
Is it, Mac Daddy Del Norte?
But hey.
But it is a privilege and an honor, right?
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely so.
Well, yesterday we had our semi-quincentennial broadcast.
Oh, finally.
Yeah.
That's true, because you had asked me like 2 days ago.
Yeah, 250 episodes.
250 episodes.
Yeah. Don't worry, Kenny on the board didn't know what semi-quincentennial is either. 250 episodes. Wow. But it has been fun learning to love our city, love our neighbors, give God all the glory. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite parts of this program is asking you questions that you're not ready for.
Okay, let's hear it.
Mac Daddy Del Norte, what is your favorite proverb?
My favorite proverb? Oh, man. I don't think I have one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to know what my favorite one is?
Sure, let's hear it.
Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses.
Whoa.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah. And what that means is if someone has a little bit of criticism, maybe they're your friend. Mm-hmm. And if someone is only complimenting you, maybe they're your enemy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah. So, some people read Proverbs like one chapter every day because there's 31 Proverbs. And I think that's a pretty cool discipline, right? Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about your internet consumption, Mac Daddy Del Norte.
All right. Let's go. 100%.
You don't have a favorite proverb. Do you have a favorte place to visit on the internet?
Of course.
KELPradio.com.
KELP Radio.
Desertvoice.media.
Yes, I'm on it every day.
Yeah,
uploading on it.
So today we're going to be talking about the internet and Proverbs. And Proverbs.
And Proverbs.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of dissonance between the two, if I can use a audio term since we're on the radio. And we were just talking about how this is the 250th episode.
Yes.
Now, some people come on 915 Talk once and done.
Yeah, that is true.
and some people just keep on coming back.
Definitely.
Better than before.
Definitely. You know what, though? I do, if I may. I was just talking to our intern, Wesley.
Our unpaid intern, Wesley,
Yes. About how this is the only guest that I believe has hosted 915 Talk.
Oh, that's true. That is a big deal.
That's a big
deal. Yeah.
Yes.
He is not just the unique expression of an endlessly creative God. He also is the only other person to have hosted 915 Talk.
That is
other
correct.
Than me,
that is correct.
Which is pretty cool. He's also the pastor of Cross of Grace Church here in El Paso. He's also the voice of Better News Radio, which plays each and every weekday at 12:30 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Super cool program. I'm always excited when I get to catch it. And so I hope folks are tuning in for that. We're going to be talking today about the internet and Proverbs. So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only, Pastor Ricky Alcantar.
That's great, Andy. Thanks so much for having me, man. It is a joy. Love this program. Love the station. Love what you guys do.
You are too kind, Pastor Ricky. Too kind. But I love having you on. Love these conversations. You had me dress up as Santa Claus in December.
That was a fun one.
We talked about John Bunyan in a previous one. Just such a wide variety of topics. When you're thinking of like, what do you want? What do I want to talk about on the radio? What is the source of your creativity?
The source of the creativity.
Yeah.
My mom would say I have a lot of ideas and a short attention span. So that she grew up many years trying to manage my sort of creative chaos. And now my poor wife is and our staff at Cross of Grace have to deal with my million ideas. And so I always have more ideas than I have time.
Right.
To do them.
I can relate to that. I feel like it would be fun to do a assessment of your personality type. But I think it's super cool for people in a church to follow someone who has a lot of ideas. Here, just the earth is the Lord's and everything in it.
That's right.
And we can get so excited about, there are so many good things for us to get excited about.
Yep.
And so it's always fun to have these conversations. But today you're like, hey, let's talk about the internet and Proverbs.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. So I'm a pastor. And so one of the things you end up doing is you end up having a lot of conversations about the Bible.
Right.
Right. And on Sunday mornings, typically what we do is we will take like Cross of Grace, and I know Terry, who's on this program or on the station as well,
right,
does
Terry
this.
Gray.
They'll take a section of the Bible and explain it. So
Yes.
you start from the Bible and work your way out.
Yes.
But the challenge is people don't live their whole life at the church the way I do, right? They're there for a couple hours on Sunday.
Right.
And maybe they're in a home group, maybe they're at some Bible study. But much of our life is lived not in the walls of the church, but out there. Now, when we talk about that, we talk about all kinds of things like witness and evangelism and all that. But this week, I wanted to talk about what I researched was the approximately 12 hours per day of media that people consume in one form or another.
12 hours
of media
per day.
Yes.
So I think I was talking to the ratings agencies about this radio station.
Yes.
And our average listener listens 6 hours per week.
Okay.
So that would mean that their 1 hour a day, roughly, we'll be generous here.
Yep.
On KELP, that's going to be their media.
Okay.
What is the other 11 hours?
What are they doing? Well, and this includes it was a statistic that I didn't at first believe, that I did some Googling to go, is this real? Because it's almost like if you're sleeping some, and if you're at work some, how is this possible?
Right.
So, but this includes music, it includes podcasts, it includes radio, and it includes a YouTube video in the background while you're making dinner. It includes a family watch. It includes social media before you go to bed.
12 hours a day.
And listen, it varies from person to person, but it is clearly 10 or more hours a day for most Americans.
Okay.
And any deficits during the week, we tend to make up on the weekend.
Right.
Binging, the latest show or whatever. So here's the challenge we've got. We've got maybe one or two, maybe at our church, 40 minutes in the Word, explaining it. And then there's this whole other world that we live in during the week. And so one of the things I began thinking about is, man, how do we bring the Bible into the world of that kind of swirl of media, that stream of media we live in?
Okay.
And as I thought and prayed about it, I thought, man, I think actually one of the most useful books is a book in the Bible that we typically don't hook up to the internet or think about in terms of the internet, and that is the book of Proverbs.
Right. Okay. So you're thinking about how do we get, I want to make sure I understand this. How do we get the Bible into the internet?
No. How do we apply the principles of Proverbs to the stream of content we all live in and day out?
Okay. I feel like you've posed an impossible task.
Yeah. Well, because here, let me explain a little bit further. So here's the thing. Proverbs, one of its ways of instructing us is it gives us a very colorful cast of characters.
Yes.
And these characters in Proverbs are summaries and sort of almost mini parables of the kinds of people you'll encounter in life. Right. You have the sluggard, you have the thief, you have the liar, you have the good woman, you have the bad woman, you have all these people. So you're imagining, okay, if you're living in ancient Israel in the village, this is a father talking to a son and saying, son, when you go out there in the village, when you go out there in the city, these are the people you're going to encounter.
Okay.
Here are the people to listen to, and here are the people to not listen to.
Okay.
And I think we read Proverbs in that context and go, okay, great. Well, in my village, I don't live in a village, and there's not a guy that's like called the liar,
The sluggard.
Yeah. And so, okay, so great. I'm doing great so far.
Yeah.
But what I think we need to do is look at that stream of content we live in and go, what are the equivalents of those characters in Proverbs on the internet? Who should we listen to and who should we not listen to? And how do we read this book thinking about those hours a day we spend in media?
Okay. So let's get started. Let's hear who some of these characters are.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so one of the things that Proverbs does to kind of set the stage is, like I said, it's a father instructing a son. It was much of it by Solomon. A number of people added Proverbs later, but he began the wisdom tradition of Israel. And wisdom literature, thinking like Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, some include Song of Songs or Job.
Right.
It exists to help bring the world of the Bible and the knowledge of God down to the very ground level of where we live. And so that picture again is the people in the village. And what Proverbs does is it says that there's conflicting voices crying out to us in the middle of the village. And the first voice that we're told to listen to is the voice of wisdom. So I'm going to introduce the first good voice, and then we'll go through the bad voices.
Okay, so there are good voices.
Yes. There are good voices, but the challenge is this voice is often not audible in the cacophony and the noise of the world around us.
Right.
Because you'd think, okay, well, if you're in a room, you and I probably think, well, I could walk in a room and I could probably pretty quickly tell who the smartest person in the room is, right? Let each of them share a little bit. And the one, to say that UTEP genius professor that just won a grant, you're like, okay, that's a smart guy, right? But the challenge becomes this, Andy. What if they all start talking at the same time?
Oh,
right. You know what I mean? What if you're in a room where everybody's yelling and talking and trying to get your attention?
Yeah.
And the danger that Proverbs sets up is that you may not listen to the voice of wisdom. And so you get encouragements like, my son, if you receive my words, making your ear attentive to wisdom, inclining your heart to understanding, if you call out for insight, if you raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver, search for it like hidden treasures, then you'll understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. That's Proverbs 2. So the challenge, the dad knows, is that you're going to have all these voices, and often the voices that you should most listen to, well, it takes work to lean in and hear them. And that's the challenge. And one preparatory note as we get into this, wisdom. Some people don't know what the word wisdom is. What do you think the common connotations, do you think, Andy, of wisdom are in today's culture? Somebody says, hey, you should get wisdom. What would you think?
Well, I think a lot of people confuse wisdom and knowledge.
Okay, so speak to that. What is it? What would you mean?
Yeah, so knowledge is just knowing stuff. Wisdom is making right decisions.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, and so one of the best definitions of biblical wisdom I've heard is skill in the art of godly living. I think that's from Kidner, but it's skill in the art of godly living. And it starts in Proverbs 1 with the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so essentially what it means is it's a way of thinking about the world that has God as the center and uses him as the standard of right and wrong and justice and injustice, and looks at how God created and set up the world to run, and basically says, son, if you're smart, you will run your life according to the pattern of the Lord. Right. So it's not just being smart, it's a skill. Yeah. And it's not just knowledge in general, it's godly knowledge, which, you know, the good news is for Christians, if you're listening to KELP, you're already tuned into a source of, hey, I want to hear God's voice in my life. I want to bring that.
Yeah, that's, if I'll toot my own horn, but that's why each and every hour on this radio station, we say, feed your mind, feed your soul.
That's right.
You know, 1590 AM, 95.9 FM, or up in Las Cruces, 89.3 FM. But just this idea of really feeding with real nutrition. When you talk about how wisdom, you really have to pay attention to it, incline your ear. And we're talking about the internet. What's crossing my mind is so much of social media is so smart with those dopamine hits.
Oh, yeah.
And usually the voice of wisdom doesn't give you that hit of dopamine like a funny video of a cat.
Right. Yeah. That's so true. Yeah.
And it takes a little bit more effort to slow down.
Yep.
And open up your Bible.
That's right.
And read a printed page.
That's right.
Takes more effort, does not give that chemical reaction in the brain, the pleasure right away. But I love what you're saying, just that it requires effort.
It requires effort. You know, I'm sure you've read some of the same stuff I have, that the way social media is set up is that it's essentially reverse engineering slot machines in some ways. Because what happens is the reason slot machines are successful is they're bright and they're shiny, and then every once in a while they give you a huge hit of a high of dopamine, right? And you feel great, and then you keep putting coins in the slot. I've never actually used that, but that's just the way that they're engineered, right? So in a sense, a lot of social media is built the same way. They want to keep you scrolling. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
You got to remember, everything that's producing content, they're not there because they're like, man, I'm just here because I want Lucinda or Jerry to love Jesus. You know, like they're there if you're Netflix, so you get the $10 a month, or now $20 a month. They're there so you stay watching ads on Instagram or Facebook, right? And so, but the good news is this, Andy, this is not new. Actually, the whole cacophony of voices is not new. It's something that even Solomon's son or the kids of Israel had to deal with many, many years ago. The challenge is just, will we hear the Bible in that context?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we have a good voice to start off with, a good villager.
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying?
Lady Wisdom is this personification. So Lady Wisdom is sort of the personification, many theologians believe, of the attribute of God, of his wisdom. So it's like a word picture of a godly woman who's the picture is she's raising her voice in the middle of the town square, yelling wisdom, but nobody's listening to her. And and so that's why the father is saying, son, see all these people in the village? This is the one you should listen to. Now, maybe it'd be helpful to go through who are the other voices that we are listening to instead.
Right.
So we'll return at the end to the good voices.
Okay, good.
But I think it's helpful to know who are the other voices that often drown out the voice of wisdom?
Yeah, and if we're talking ratios,
yes,
probably the unwise voices outnumber the wise voices.
well, I would say let's see if people agree when we get to the end here.
Yeah. Well, particularly on the internet. But what's one of the unwise voices?
Okay, so the most common character is actually a character with several different shades, is the fool.
Okay.
Right? So Hebrew actually uses 4 different words for fool, and it's a progression. So at first you start out with a fool that's dull and he just doesn't know anything.
There's a way to develop yourself as a fool. It's a
Well,
progression.
Okay, so this is the thing that the proverb says is, hey, watch out, because if you're listening to the fools, actually Proverbs 13:20 says the companion of fools suffers harm. If you walk with the wise, you'll become wise, but the companion of fools suffers harm. And so you want to go, oh, wait a second. If I hang out with these people, then I'm going to become like them. And here's the thing, Andy.
Even online.
Well, I was going to say, even I think many of us as Christians, we think, man, I'm not hanging out with some crazy person that just hates the Lord in person, but your favorite show that you think is hilarious may be exactly that.
Right.
Or this one influencer that you love and makes you laugh.
Sure.
But you kind of know I probably shouldn't listen to them.
Yeah.
And if they were in your home, you'd be like, sir, I'm going to need you to tone this down in front of my family. But instead, you're like, sure, you just pop them up on your phone.
Sure.
And so here's the reality. This is what I'm going to say. This may be controversial.
Okay.
But in the end, Proverbs says you're going to look like your social media feed.
Oh, wow.
You're going to look like your Netflix queue.
Yeah.
You're going to look like how you spend your time with those people.
I feel like I have to say this. And I think my wife will forgive me for saying this. My concern is that she's going to look like a cat. But that's not what you're saying.
And it's funny. You know how the joke is that couples, when they've been married a really long time, start to look like each other.
Yeah.
Or start to pick each other's habits up.
Right. Exactly.
Which I actually think is true, because you just, they rub off on you, and the mannerisms and the ways they think and the language.
Yeah.
And so the caution is this: are you hanging out with the fool? And so there's 4 levels of being a fool. And I don't mean like body of fool, like, hey, fool, like this is a different kind of fool. Okay?
That's Mr. T.
Yeah, that's like, oh yeah, I pity the fool. It's a different dude. So there's 4 levels of being foolish. One is just dull. You just don't know anything. Second is you begin to be morally foolish.
Okay.
Make foolish moral decisions. The third level is a contemptible, brutish, unrestrained kind of fool. And then the last level of being a fool is basically you're giving yourself over to evil, to the point that you think godliness is hilarious and evil is good, right?
Oh, wow.
So essentially, nobody's static. You're always headed in one direction or the other. And so the fool tends to have one theologian I read says that the fool is not born, he is formed. Meaning, like, we're all born in a sense of like we have a problem with sin, but over time you become more foolish, and it gets worse and worse.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think a lot of us would like to think that, well, we're somehow have some level of foolishness when we're teenagers, but then we get better.
Right.
But you're saying the opposite can happen.
Absolutely.
And I've heard it said that sometimes the conversations that you would hear in a daycare are the same conversations that you'd hear in a bar across the street.
Oh, yeah.
Because there has been no attempt to increase in character.
That's right.
And so I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah. And again, the companions that you surround yourself with, both in person and online, will shape you that way.
Right.
And often that guy at the bar who's stuck, who's immature, who's still a boy in a man's body, he probably has a group of friends that are as well, right? And so, that's
Absolutely.
That's the thing that happens. So let me give you the first bad, foolish character. These are all kind of foolish characters. The first one is the mocker or the scoffer, right? Ooh. Who actively is ridiculing the good in life. Now, let me just say this. I think we live in an age where, say, X on Twitter, places like that, cynicism is cool, right?
Yeah.
And mocking things is cool. And who can say the most extreme thing to make people laugh? I mean, there's shows that do this. Let me just say this, even as a pastor, if I can raise this caution, I think sometimes the Christian humor subculture online,
Yeah.
they're mocking churches and pastors and people,
Yeah.
right? In a way that you're like, you laugh, but then there's that little check in the back of your head going, should I be laughing at this?
Right.
And so I think it's helpful to think, hey, am I hanging out with a bunch of mockers, a bunch of cynical people?
Okay, so I'm going to say this too. I was recently at a conference regarding media.
Okay.
That shall remain unnamed.
Okay.
Because the conference was great.
Great.
It's really good. They did have one breakout session, a seminar. I did not go to it, but a friend of mine went.
Okay.
And he came out, and it was basically how to be a Christian influencer on social media. And the whole premise was you wake up in the morning, you look at all the accounts of people you disagree with, and then you make reels making fun of them.
Oh, my.
That was the whole concept.
Oh, my.
And so, like, you bring up a very important point.
And it probably works.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're going to get all kinds of traction.
Sure.
You're going to get likes. People are going to join on your side, this and that. But you bring up an important point, like not mocking the church, which can be cool, even among Christian comedians, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But also, let's not make it our platform to mock people we disagree with.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's another one very similar we'll get to in a minute. But that's the mocker. Second would be what Proverbs literally calls the strange woman. Now, before our listeners get mad, I'm not calling. I am not trying to be sexist. This is the character in the book of Proverbs.
Okay.
And essentially, the strange woman exemplifies an adulterous sexuality that draws and lures Christians or people of God away.
Oh, interesting.
And so essentially, it's anything on the internet, put in internet terms, anything on the internet that twists God's good gift of sexuality in godless directions. And listen, we just got to be honest. We are awash in this as a culture.
Yeah.
The number of people that make a lot of money sharing inappropriate things about themselves or sharing inappropriate videos is voluminous, right?
Right.
Many times, I heard it basically a media executive essentially admit that sometimes in shows on their streaming platform, they would encourage people to the director to include nudity. So you have a higher chance of people continuing on to the next episode, that they might see more of it.
Yeah.
You see models and people putting stuff out on social media. And I know I've hit a bunch of those things. I also want to say one of the fastest growing concerns for me in the area of media is inappropriate or perverse audiobooks or books.
Oh, wow.
So one of the fastest growing segments is female readers who are reading more and more extreme romance that is not glorifying to the Lord, has lots of open door, as they would say, spice scenes, and has become accepted. And here's the danger, Andy. We live in a culture in which, if I could just oversimplify for a second, guys following Instagram models showing off their bodies, or women reading spice romance is accepted and normal.
Yeah, this is something that seems to come up more and more often on this program. I don't think we could talk about it too much,
right?
Because it is such a huge, huge deal. I think it's interesting. You call her the strange woman.
Yeah.
I've read Proverbs many times, and I know that's what it says, but I never thought of calling her that character.
Yeah.
But just what crosses my mind is this idea of strange creates curiosity.
Oh, sure.
And I think the whole subject of porn we've brought up again many times on this program. It's a huge issue, even in the church, of course.
Sure.
But I also love that you're bringing up, I don't know if love is the right word, but I think it's important that you bring up this other point of these, we'll call them spicy novels.
Yeah.
I feel someone need to hear that this afternoon.
Yeah.
It'll be a good reminder to turn on something else to listen to.
And the challenge is this. In one of the chapters of Proverbs, I think it's 7, the narrator is watching a young man go down the street of this woman, almost like, the picture's almost like, oh, almost by accident. I just happened to find myself in front of this lady's house.
Right.
And here's the thing. I think many Christians would kind of go, okay, I know I'm not supposed to look at the worst stuff online, but I'm okay watching a show that I know may or may not be safe without looking it up. Or, I might go to this site, which I may or may not be safe. To me, that's the equivalent of going down the street and then being surprised. Oh my goodness, there's there's something terrible down here.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that's important, both for men and women, to think about. So that's another character. You want to move on to another character? Or
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Let's wait, because I think we're about to get a phone call.
Well, that's what I expected.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people are driving home thinking, okay, this is helpful, good information, but I still want to hear from Charlie 1 here.
Yeah.
What am I looking at?
While we're waiting for the traffic report, if you're just joining us, we're with Pastor Ricky Alcantar. He's the pastor of Cross of Grace Church here in El Paso. He's also the voice that you hear on Better News Radio each and every weekday at 12:30 on this radio station. I hope folks are tuning in. If you are tuning in, reach out to Better News Radio. Reach out to Cross of Grace. Tell them what you're listening to, what you're enjoying. Give us just the quick plan for Cross of Grace at Easter.
Oh, man, loves talking about that. So this is Easter. We are planning again to gather as a church family at McElligan Canyon on Easter morning. And so please join us in praying for good weather. But it's
super cool.
But we're very grateful. We've done this for 2 or 3 years now, and I love it for a couple of reasons. One, it's a historic El Paso venue that we get the opportunity to fill with worshipers of Jesus.
Right.
And it tends to be a place where if somebody's intimidated going into a church, that they may consider coming to McElligan. I mean, we've had people that have told us, I would have never set foot in church, but I was willing to come out to McElligan because I know it, and,
right.
And it feels like a great, beautiful thing to do. So we're going to be doing that again. You can get the information at crossofgrace.net. And if you don't have a church family, we'd love to have you join us. Or if you have somebody that's hesitant to join a church service indoors, tell them, come and join us.
Love it. Crossofgrace.net is the website. You can find the information about the Easter service. I know a lot of people are listening to this radio program who are not part of a church. And like Ricky said, you might be not ready to walk through some church doors, but you can head to McElligan Canyon on Easter morning. So I love that venue. I love all the effort that's put into that. And I know you've had a great turnout in previous years. Hope you do this year as well. But we do have Charlie 1 on the phone. Charlie 1, what are you seeing out on the roads this afternoon?
Quite a few trouble spots, and you want to get to the crashes that we have, and most of them on the east side. Let's get to this one, Zaragoza and Pelicano. On the east side, we have a crash here. That's Zaragoza and Pelicano. Edgemere. Now, this one, far east side, Edgemere and Tierra Este, we have a crash PD on that one. Actually, they're en route. They're en route to a crash on the east side, Giles and Adobe. On the west side, Red and Donovan, we have a crash. Now, also, we have in northeast, US 54 north, at about Stan Roberts, and take away the right lane. There's a lot of construction going on. Upper Valley, Desert North, and Anthony, left lane. But I want to touch on the freeway also, because I-10 East at Piedras, heavy traffic right here. I-10 East, Piedras, Scopia area through Spaghetti Bowl, stacked up right there with traffic. And Andy, back to you.
Charlie 1, this afternoon we have Pastor Ricky Alcantar with us. He's at Cross of Grace Church. We're talking about Proverbs. We're talking about making wise decisions in this world we live in. And I know a lot of people make unwise choices about what they're eating. But one choice that we can always count on that will serve us well is a bowl of menudo. Where would you recommend people pick up that bowl of menudo?
Good choice right there. That's at Eastside Choice Meats, Lowland and Traywood. They can pick up the menudo. It's not expensive. It's homemade. They're in containers ready for you to take and put in your refrigerator. And then at your time, whenever you want to, just get that container of menudo, put it in the microwave, and you're good to go, because it's very delicious. It's the breakfast of champions there. Tasty, a little bit spicy, but you're going to love it. That's at Menudo, Eastside Choice Meats, Lowland and Traywood. Pick it up there, Randy.
Thank you, Charlie 1. We'll talk soon.
You bet.
Ricky, while we were waiting for the traffic report, I asked AI to write a proverb about menudo.
Okay, what do we get?
A bowl of menudo a day keeps the doctor away. It's Tri-Pack Nutrition turns May into Olay with collagen, iron, and protein that make every day play.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I didn't love that. I got to be honest, but I appreciate its effort. I mean, because here's the thing: AI will never fully enjoy a warm, delicious bowl of menudo, you know? And so
I mean, anything could happen at this point, Ricky.
It's describing something it can't experience. And so that's why I think you got to try it for yourself. All right, let's just be honest.
That's right, Eastside Choice Meats. And we're back talking about Proverbs. We're talking about the fool. He's developing.
Well, yeah, and so we're talking about the list of characters that are calling out to us, shouting in the room, and making it hard to hear the voice of wisdom.
Right.
So we went through a couple: the mocker, the strange woman. The next one is the sluggard.
Okay, the sluggard. So it's funny when you and I were texting today, talking about, hey, let's talk about the internet, let's talk about Proverbs. The sluggard was the first one that came to mind.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Consider the sluggard.
Well, and basically, I love the Proverbs 6. It says, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber. That's what the dad is telling the son in Proverbs. And the thing that I think is notable is I think that we've got to be honest that there's an addictive quality to a lot of media.
Absolutely.
It's like that old ad that says, bet you can't eat just one. You know, bet you can't just watch one video.
Right.
Bet you can't watch,
Yeah.
And I think, look, this is affecting our kids as well. I've got kids 6 to 13. This is a challenge at all ages.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so one of the challenges I think is when it's normal for you to say just one more, I'll do it later. What about not right now? The Bible would actually say, hey, be careful. You're actually listening to the voice of the sluggard. Who is going, it's fine, just do it later. It's not a big deal, right? And actually, laziness in the Bible is defined, especially in Proverbs, is not defined as you don't do anything. Laziness is defined as you're neglecting God-given priorities.
Oh, wow.
Meaning, you may look busy. You may be, like for me, researching, this new thing and you want to put in the backyard, these new plants.
Right.
But you need to have a conversation with one of your kids about something that happened at school. And it's way easier, Andy, I'll just tell you, to watch a bunch of gardening influencer videos than it is to have a conversation with my son about school that I need to have. And so I think basically, where does this category apply? It applies when you know that there are God-given priorities in your life.
Right.
But you're putting them aside to watch one more episode, video, thing like that.
Okay. I think I should do a little confessional here, Pastor
Oh, boy.
Ricky.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Confession booth comes out. All right.
Yeah, all right. Just between me and you.
Okay.
And everyone else listening on the radio. I realized last year I was scrolling social media too much.
Okay.
Which is not an unusual issue.
Sure.
But as I was thinking about it, I just realized when I read the Bible, I probably because of my background in ministry, my whole adult life has been ministry, I feel this pressure to get some deep thought every time I open up the Bible.
Sure.
And so this year, actually at the beginning of this year, I kind of made the decision, if I find myself mindlessly scrolling, because really 5, 10, maximum 15 minutes a day is more than enough on social media.
Oh, sure.
More than enough.
Sure.
And so if I find myself mindlessly scrolling, I'm going to try to pick up my Bible and just scroll the Bible.
Oh,
that's good, man. And I'm not going to worry about getting the deep thought.
Yeah, that's good.
And of course, before I was spending time in the Word and all that, but it was, I'm very tied down to this one, and I'm trying to extract all this thought out of it, which is important. But I've been scrolling the Bible, Pastor Ricky.
That's great.
And
I love it.
And I'm in 2 Samuel.
Yeah.
Because I'm just scrolling the Bible.
That's great. That's great,
and
bro.
sometimes it's I'm not really getting a big thought, and other times it's like, wow, I totally forgot about this. This is so important.
Yes.
But the very basic idea is this: scrolling the Bible is always better for you than scrolling social media.
Sure. Yeah. And let me
So
just say
that's my
this.
little confessional.
Yeah, I absolutely. And we want to be clear. I'm not saying, man, and watching a funny video of a cat is always bad or sinful or something like that. Instead, what we're saying is some of that can be okay, but not if it causes you to neglect God-given priorities.
Yeah.
And I'll share my own experience. I put my hand up on this one and say I need to grow because, on your iPhone you can put a limit on certain apps.
Yeah.
And so the one I tend to mindlessly scroll at times is Instagram.
Okay.
And so, but you can tell it, hey,
Ignore
here's
the limit?
30 minutes,
More.
whatever a day is my limit for Instagram. And I just thought, okay, yeah, I'll do like 30 minutes. That's not a problem at all. I mean, maybe I'll hit it at the very end of the day.
Yeah.
And Andy, I was surprised how early in the day I hit it, and how many times like just making coffee or doing other things, I'm just like kind of scrolling. So I think that's where the dad in Proverbs is saying, son,
right.
There's a whole generation and generations now that are wasting life essentially.
Right.
Saying one more tomorrow, next week, etc.
Yeah,
So
and I think it's important to underline again what you said. Laziness in Scripture is not doing nothing; it's doing something that I guess ignores God-given priorities.
yes, yeah, replaces or ignores.
Replaces,
yeah.
Very good.
So there's that one. Now here's a fun one: the contentious person, the quarrelsome person.
There are quarrelsome people on the internet.
Apparently, Andy. Yeah. So I think we've all been witness to some post on Facebook or Instagram or something devolving into a full-blown battle royale in the comments. And here's the thing. And we think, oh man, this is such a modern phenomenon that people are just angry. And look, I've actually been around where people that were fine in real life stopped talking to each other because of internet conflicts. It's like, it's spilled over. And Proverbs 21 says it's better to live in a desert land than with a quarrelsome and fretful, in this case, woman, because he's talking about finding a wife.
Right.
But you could just say person. It's better to live in El Paso. The reason I picked this one is El Paso, we're very familiar with this. It would be better for you to walk out to just truth or consequences by yourself and live on the side of the road than to live with quarrelsome people. But here's the thing, Andy. We often do that online, don't we? We spend a lot of time. We'll get wrapped up in the comments. We'll feel like we just have to say something. Or if somebody, comments on our post, we feel like we got to let them have it. And let me just be honest. Sometimes some of the media we consume online can be very, let's just say, contentious and quarrelsome, and models for us that kind of behavior.
Right.
And so one of the challenges is, again, the companion of fools suffers harm. If you spend your time around quarrelsome, angry voices constantly on the internet, you shouldn't be surprised when that starts coming out in you.
Right.
And I think it's a bigger deal than many Christians want to admit. Now, let me qualify this. I do believe strongly there is a place for godly rebuke and for hard conversations and for correcting falsehood, etc. But I would say this, it's almost never that time and place is almost never in the comment section.
Right.
Because think about it this way. If you have a friend that really does have something, they say something concerning, have something going on, you need to get with your friend and talk to him. Like, man, what's going on? You seem really angry. And
that's Matthew 18. First you go to your brother.
That's right.
Like one-on-one. Deal with it that way before bringing it before in social media, not just the church, but you're bringing it before the world.
Right. And actually there's a whole passage we don't have time to get to, but in Corinthians, Paul's concerned that they're bringing their disputes out in public in the courts.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Defaming, the witness of Christ.
Right.
But Christians have these battle royales at times that everybody, including all their unbelieving friends and family, can see. And I just think, okay, Proverbs would say, use wisdom. There's a time and place for conflict and for resolving conflict in a godly way. And it's almost never the internet.
Right.
Okay. There's that one. How about one more?
Okay.
How about that? One more would be oh man, there's a couple more characters we could do. The one I would probably end with is the false witness or the liar.
Okay. Wow.
So one of the issues in Proverbs is this pattern of lying or saying the wrong thing. Proverbs 25 says, a man who bears false witness against his neighbor is like a war club or a sword or a sharp arrow.
Okay.
And here's what I want to highlight. That on the internet, it is not uncommon. Internet's not designed, like people can just shout that stuff and there's no requirement to go back and be like, hey, actually I was wrong, right?
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of posts of like, hey, turned out that thing I said last year was wrong. So I'll give you a real life example of this. There was the pastor I took over for at Cross of Grace. There was a website that was dedicated to sort of exposing church people,
okay,
and pastors doing bad things. And so on the website, somebody starts posting, hey, it's really terrible what's happened at this one church. They had a great pastor and he just got pushed aside by this younger guy. And it's just terrible. Mm-hmm. He had a secret plan to come in and take over the church, et cetera. And actually, in reality, what happened is the senior pastor initiated the change, and he was actually having semi-serious health issues, which was part of the change.
Right.
But this person kept continuing to post about, oh, it's so terrible. He's not preaching as much as he used to. They're already sidelining him. Mm-hmm. And Tom is like saying, hey, I don't want to preach as much. I'd rather do this.
Yeah.
And so, obviously just not true, right?
Right.
Well, we eventually figure out who it is.
Okay.
And it's a person that was once part of the church years ago and currently was living in a foreign country and had a connection with somebody in El Paso and was not directly hearing anything. They were hearing halfway what they were saying.
Yeah, because I think that's important to underline because I would hope none of our listeners right now would ever post anything on the internet that's untrue.
Right.
But kind of what you're saying is don't believe everything you see on the
Yes,
internet.
Right. Well, and what I'm saying is, you can have a post where you can be in an instant affect your opinion of somebody.
Sure.
But you actually don't know if it's true or not.
Right.
And I would also say this, there are people out there that have been caught saying untrue things. The Christians, non-Christians, et cetera. But continuing to just go on and be influencers and say, hey, everybody listen to me.
Right.
And so part of it is going, guys, I think there'd be a lot less of these people if we just didn't give them airtime.
Right.
If we weren't, and because part of it is everything scandalous, everything crazy, everything voyeuristic, gets views.
Right.
Like you were talking about with that seminar.
Yeah.
As soon as you start attacking people, and then you run out of material and you start doing half-true attacks or distorting the view of things. And so what I want to say is, listen, if you're on the internet and you're hanging out with a bunch of people, in a sense, that have said or are saying half-true, untrue things, that is not a good group of people to hang out with. And I've seen it end really tragically, man. I mean, there was a guy that I was aware of that was a former pastor I crossed paths with at some point, and he went down the road of becoming sort of a angry blogger exposing people. And the people that were from his church were basically saying to the internet, hey, please don't listen to him. He's not trustworthy.
Right.
But he just kept saying it and saying it. And because of the kind of posts of like exposing and what about this and digging up dirt, he just got more and more of an audience. Well, eventually the tragic end is he was exposed himself for adultery.
Yeah.
And so you're like, guys, let's the father in Proverbs would say, turn away from voices like that.
Yeah. What I'm thinking about right now is when I came to this radio station, I was trying to juggle all these programs and which one should we play, which one's not. And I had a older brother in Christ, a very theologically deep person, someone with so much education. I said, what do you think about all this? There's, different views on different scriptures,
Sure.
This and that. And that's exactly what he said was, well, I might disagree with this person on this, but this radio station is not to be a platform for preachers to criticize.
Oh, sure.
other preachers.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
I thought that was like so interesting.
Yeah.
Because it is easy to get people to follow by criticizing others.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and even on this program, you know, when sometimes we're talking politics, all these
Sure.
things, and we're not here to just point fingers at everyone else. Let's learn.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and so anyway, that was like so helpful for me, and not that the programming is perfect, but it was a really good litmus test to really begin to understand, well, maybe some of these folks, that's the whole reason they're on the radio.
Well, and I think that's true. And I think one of the things you begin to see in Proverbs is, you know, it's presented as characters, you know, the forbidden person, the fool, the sluggard, the, you know,
Right.
et cetera. But all of them tend to bleed over at different points.
Right.
Right. It's like, you know, that you're not doing what you should do. You're on the internet. You're around people that are leading you to be quarrelsome. You start
Right.
fights. You start saying half truths. You know, start
Right.
doing all these things, and I think it snowballs. And so the
Right.
father in Proverbs, I think, is a good helper for us as well. Saying,
Sure.
son and daughter, like, don't in the marketplace of everyone on the internet shouting at you, don't listen to these voices.
Right.
And so the first question you got to ask is, who are you listening to? Like, if you were to audit your media diet,
Right.
what voices carry the most prominence? What voices do you spend the most time with?
Yeah.
What voices are shaping your decisions? You know, you may not realize it, but that one funny show you love could really be reshaping your view of romance or sexuality.
Right.
It could be reshaped. You know, the people you follow could be reshaping your views of materialism and greed
Right.
and money. So what are you listening to? And that's where the book of Proverbs says, hey, come back and listen to the voice of wisdom. And let me make this point as well. Many of the good characters in Proverbs, which we don't have time to cover, are people like the wise person or the righteous person or the excellent wife or the humble or the diligent that are held up as good examples in Proverbs. The faithful, the just, all those characters are often not found easily on the internet. And the reason is that the internet is not designed to amplify those kinds of voices.
Right.
Just think about the humble. Like, there's so many proverbs about why it's good to
Yeah.
be humble. And Isaiah 66 says, "This is the one to whom I'll look," the Lord says, "he who is humble and contrite in spirit and trembles at my word." Or the reward for humility and fear of the Lord is honor and life. And I think, you know, the humble is often not the guy building the platform. And so what I want to say is this. Many times the solution for not living in that swirl of cacophonous voices of the world is to find real people in real life
Yeah.
who are living godly, humble, just, commendable, diligent lives.
Right.
And so much of that, man, it takes more work. Now you start to see why he's telling his son, listen, seek for wisdom, seek it out. Because it's so much easier to open Instagram on your phone than it is to pursue an older saint that you want to mentor you in your career.
Yeah.
Right? Like, isn't it, like, you know, you got to be like, oh, I got to make a schedule. I got to reach out. I got to do this. Got
Yeah.
to spend money. And it takes work to build godly friendships. You know, it takes work to align schedules. It takes work to, you know, be around people that you want to look like.
Yeah.
But what Proverbs is saying is that it's worth it, because in your life, you're going to end up looking like the people that you surround yourself with. So that's it.
Yeah, I love that this idea that we're going to find wisdom, probably not on the internet so much.
That's right.
But in real life. And then I also do want to point out, you said finding an older mentor.
Yeah.
That is another subject that's come up frequently recently on this program. And just this idea that there are older people in your church who have so much experience. And what we've talked about several times is they would be blown away if someone came up to them, a younger person, said, "Hey, could we have coffee? I want to learn from you."
That's right.
They think it's just as unattainable as you as a younger person think.
That's right.
And so, make the time, get together.
One of the tragedies I see over and over is that young people in college and young career age, they rightly, I think, want to be around other people their age. Their
Right.
season of life is what people say a
Yeah.
lot, right? I just need people in my season of life. And so they're looking for a church with people their age, their season of life. They're looking for a home group or a small group or a Bible study with people their season of life. But when you meet with them and talk to them and say, hey, man, what are you dealing with? What are you struggling with? Everything they describe, you think, man, if you just had a person that was 50,
Yeah.
they would give so much perspective to all these things.
Right.
You know, this person who's like trying to figure their career out and they just broke up with a boyfriend or girlfriend and they're trying to manage their money. And you're like, well, you know, if you're just hanging out with a bunch of other 20-year-olds only,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to get the help you need.
Right.
You do need godly friends that are your age.
Yeah.
But you need the voice of wisdom. And I think that that's over and over. The Proverbs voice is saying, son, listen to your mother and I. Son, listen to the wise voices in life.
Right.
And let me just say this. I think maybe one of the challenges that we make is that the Christian default has to be, when it comes to voices in our lives of media, you have to be prepared to swim upstream. You cannot, nobody drifts into wisdom. The picture in Proverbs is you seek it out. You hunt it down, right? And I think too often we get captured by like, well, I'm just going to drift into godliness. You know, I'm just going to sort of drift upstream into, and it's like, no, you've got to fight. You've got to fight with your schedule, with your intention. You got to go after these things. And let me just say, as a guy who does a bunch of stuff online, I think most Christians, I think actually all Christians, I'm not going to say most, I'm going to say all Christians should live most of their life offline.
Amen.
Because part of the challenge, I would say, that Proverbs doesn't address is a larger issue in the Bible, which is that we're made to be embodied creatures.
Okay.
We're created with bodies. We're meant, and God limits us. He says, you're going to be in one place at one time, you know, and he gives us divine limitations. And one of the challenges with the internet is that it brings a version of the world in front of us
Right.
all the time. And we think, okay, I can live omniscient. I can live
interesting.
everywhere. I
Yeah.
can live with everything. And most Christian life is reading your Bible, encouraging people, loving people, sharing the gospel,
Being in that place, in that
being
moment.
in that moment of that time. And one last piece of encouragement. If you're here and you're going, okay, maybe I need to make some changes. I do want to I want to give one prescription,
Okay.
if I could, for people. The prescription is do a social media and media fast. And so people are often used to thinking like, okay, fast is just food. Well, I want to encourage you. I do this at least once a year. Just get out of all the media you're swimming in right now.
Yeah.
Just stop. Just say this week, no social media, no TV, no Netflix. I'm gonna do a fast of whatever media. And then a few days in, do kind of an audit and go, what was influencing me? Because the problem is when you're in the water, you can't see what's going on around you.
Yeah.
So consider a fast, do an audit, and then slowly add things back into your life that you think are actually wisdom.
And we'll see if you make it back on social media. I'll add to that. You don't need to make a big announcement on social media when you do it.
That's right. Everybody's always announcing that they're leaving social media, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, but you don't have to do that. You can just leave it. But Ricky, really appreciate this conversation today. I do believe it is important, and just being reminded that wisdom is rarely found on the internet, and we need to be intentional about meeting with wise people around us. They're there in the church. They're here in our community. Just real quick, we only have 30 seconds left. McGilligan Canyon, Easter, Cross of Grace Church. What time will the service be?
I think it's at 9.
9, okay.
But I am actually not sure. I just show up. So
yeah, crossofgrace.net.
Our teams are getting there at like 4:30 in the morning.
Sure.
So
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy in recent years. There were the dust storms, and they happened right before and right after.
Yeah, the Lord's been very kind.
Yeah,
so crossofgrace.net, if you don't have a church, we'd love to see you out there at the canyon.
Very cool. And we'll pray for no dust storms, at least on Easter morning again this year. Thanks again for coming in, Ricky. As we always say, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and maybe spend a little bit less time on the internet and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk.
You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. To listen to this or any previous edition of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media and click on the 915 Talk link. Let's continue to learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
Hi, I'm Johnny Erickson Tata, and sometimes when I am in deep pain and cannot fall asleep, my mind starts going and I start fearing the future ahead. You gotta understand, life with quadriplegia is not easy. But I must remember that my life is not truly mine. I find in Job chapter 12 that it says, "In his hand is the life of every creature, and